Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Alice and I'm going to be bringing you a shorter class for hamstrings. So coming onto your back, if you've got a mat then great. If not, just make sure you're somewhere comfortable that you don't mind laying down on. And we'll plant both feet into the floor, knees up towards the ceiling, release the hands at the side of the body. Taking an inhale through the nose and exhale, seeing if you can release, sink a little deeper, finding some comfort. Maybe take a little wriggle into the pelvis. One more to inhale. And as you exhale, gently hug the right knee in towards the chest and send the foot up towards the ceiling. And you can bring the hands to wherever is accessible on the leg. You may reach just behind the hamstring. You may come up a little higher towards the ankle. And we'll come to stillness, finding stretch in the hamstring. It's easing into it here. And then starting to move the leg around a little bit, however you would like to. You can start to carry it past that center line across slightly. You can maybe carry it out towards the side. If you do take it out to the side, try and keep the left hip planted into the ground. And you can maybe even bend, straighten, flex and point at the foot, coming in and out of the hamstring stretch. And just take a few breaths here. And then when you're ready, coming back to that center point, start to release the leg all the way down, keeping it extended. And then as the heel meets the ground, hug the knee back into the chest, extend up to the ceiling, and then slowly lowering it all the way down, coming into this cycling motion. Allow the foot to come into play as well, so it can flex on the way down and then maybe point on the way up. Hands can be at the belly or at the sides of the body, wherever it's comfortable. And we'll take about 5 to 7 full circular motions. And when you've completed those, allow the right foot to come back to the ground, for the knee to come up towards the ceiling. We'll come into the second side, so hugging the left knee in towards the chest, and then starting to extend up towards the ceiling, keeping a hold of wherever is accessible on the hamstring, maybe even a little higher up towards the ankle. Finding that stillness. And then feel free to bring it into movement as well. So carrying it across if you'd like to, out to the side, keeping that right hip planted into the ground. And then bending, straightening, flexing, pointing, coming in and out of the stretch. And then coming back to center and starting to lower the leg whilst keeping it extended. Just before the heel meets the ground, knee comes in towards the chest. Extend up towards the ceiling and then slowly lower back down, back into these cycling motions. Second side, flexing and pointing at the foot as well. We're taking 5 to 7 rounds. And when you've completed those, allow the foot to plant back down to the ground, for the knee to come up towards the ceiling. And then gently bringing both knees in towards the chest, and then rolling yourself up, bringing yourself over to all fours. Stacking the shoulders over the wrist, pelvis over the knees, spread the fingers wide, and then tucking the toes, send the pelvis up into a downward facing dog. And you can take a pedal through the feet here. Shift the pelvis side to side if you need. And then finding your stillness. So with your downward facing dog, see if you can think about sticking or sending the tailbone up towards the ceiling. So almost like you're trying to stick your bum out. And you may keep a soft bend in the knees as you send the heels down towards the ground. And the heels don't have to meet the ground here. And take a few breaths in your downward facing dog. And then slowly walking the feet towards the hands, coming into an Uttanasana, forward fold. Keep as much of a bend in the knees as you need. Allow the belly to hang on the thighs. You can take a little shake with the head, say yes, say no. Maybe come into a ragdoll, holding the elbows, find a gentle swing side to side. And then releasing the hands back down. Plant them into the ground, step back, downward facing dog. And we'll inhale the right leg up towards the ceiling, but try and keep the toes down towards the ground. So you're going to keep the hips as square as possible. And you may even still see the toes as you look towards the upper thigh. Take another breath here. And then gently step the foot between the hands, right foot between the hands, lowering the back knee down into your low lunge. And you can keep the hands planted into the ground here as we get set up for our half splits, or if you'd like a bit more of a challenge, bring the hands behind the head. Take an inhale to lift the breastbone, and as you exhale, soften onto the back knee, extend that front leg. Toes can flex up towards the ceiling as you hinge forwards. Inhale, coming back to your lunge. Exhale as you soften back, extend the front leg. If you're keeping the hands down, inhaling here. And then exhale as you soften back. One more, inhaling forwards. And exhale to soften back. And if the hands are behind the head, you may want to bring them down to the ground as we hold here for a few breaths. Think about dragging that right heel along the floor so you wrap the right hip back towards you. And just notice the spine as well. So there's no wrong and there's no right, but quite often we round the back when we come into forward folds. So see if you can find some length. Reach the crown of the head forwards. Send the tailbone towards the back of the mat. And then easing off back into the right knee when you're ready. Plant the hands into the ground, stepping back to downward facing dog. A little pedal through the pelvis if you need. And then we'll come into the second side. So inhaling, left leg up this time, keeping the toes down towards the ground, keeping the hips as square as possible. You may still see the toes as you look towards the upper thigh. And then starting to step that left foot in between the hands, lowering the back knee down, low lunge. Ready for our half split transitions, so you can keep the fingertips down or bring them behind the head. Inhale to lift the breastbone. Exhale, soften back, extend that front leg. Inhale as you come forwards. Exhale to soften back. Inhale forwards. Exhale, take it back. One more here, inhaling forwards. And exhale, soften back. Maybe bringing the hands down this time. And thinking about dragging that left heel along the floor, wrapping the left hip back towards you. And then softening back into that left knee. Plant the hands to the ground. Step back to downward facing dog. Little pedal into the feet if you need. And then slowly walking the feet towards the hands and the hands towards the feet. So you come to the center point. Again, allow the belly to hang on the thighs. So keep as much of a bend in the knees as you need. Give the head a little bit of a shake. And from here, take a full inhale. Imagine you're filling the back of the body with air. And exhale, start to drop the sit bones down towards the heels, coming into this crouch position. And you can drop the chin into the chest here, really rounding the back. Inhale in the crouch position, and as you exhale, think about pressing the air out as you send the pelvis back up towards the ceiling into your Uttanasana. Inhale at the top of the fold. Exhale as you sit back down into the crouch. Inhaling in the crouch. Exhale, press the air out, send the pelvis up towards the ceiling. Inhale in the fold. Exhale, drop the sit bones down towards the heels. Inhale in the crouch. Exhale, press the air up back to your fold. We'll take one more here. Inhale in the fold. Exhale, drop the sit bones towards the heels. Inhale in the crouch. And exhale back to the forward fold. And we're going to take a couple of halfway lifts as well. So as you inhale, reach the crown of the head forwards. And you can come to the fingertips or bring the hands towards the shins. Find that flat back. And exhale as you soften down. Release the hands. Inhale, halfway lift, fingertips or shins. Exhale, soften down. Keeping the weight in the toes if you can. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhaling to soften down. And then taking a deep bend into the knees. Roll through the spine. Bring yourself all the way up to standing. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. Release the arms, release the legs, release the head. And we're going to come into a straddle, wide-legged straddle position. Slightly pigeon-toed, so big toes in, heels turning out. And we'll bring the hands towards the hips. Inhale to roll the shoulders back and down, stack the pelvis on top of the femurs. And exhale, start to send the sit bones out behind you as you come into a wide leg forward fold. Allow the hands to drop down towards the mat or to blocks. Release at the lower back, let the crown of the head fall to the ground. Shifting the weight into the toes, check it's not in the heels. And if your hands are down on the ground quite comfortably, you can start to walk them in line with the feet. So imagine you're standing on that line down the center of the mat. And then start to press the hands into the ground as you send the torso through the legs. Gaze can come up towards the ceiling. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. And take a couple of breaths. Give the head a shake if you need, and then slowly softening into the knees, rolling up all the way to standing. Inhale as you reach the arms high. And exhale, bring the hands back towards the hips. Just adjust that stance. If you notice you've come quite wide, you can bring it back in a little bit. Toes in, heels out. Inhale, roll the shoulders back and down. Stand tall. Exhale, taking a fold over the legs. And this time you can either bring the hands just back to where you were, down to the ground or to blocks, or if it's accessible, you can take your peace grip. So first 2 fingers round the big toes. Inhale as you reach the crown of the head forwards, and exhale, elbows draw out towards the sides, crown of the head drops down, shoulders draw away from the ears, weight into the toes. Maybe give the head a gentle shake. And then softening into the knees as you roll through the spine, bringing yourself all the way up to standing. And then release the legs. We're going to make our way to seated, sending the legs out in front of you. So a seated forward fold here, and you're going to take a hold of wherever is accessible with the legs. Maybe that you just bring the hands towards the thighs or the shins. Or if it's comfortable, you can take your peace grip, first 2 fingers around the big toe, or maybe even reach the hands around the bottoms of the feet. I'm going to take an inhale to sit tall, find that flat back, and exhale as you allow the belly to fall over the thighs, chin into the chest, shoulders away from the ears. And settling into that fold, closing down the eyes. You can move the pelvis side to side if you need to. And take a few breaths. And then slowly bringing the torso back up. And we'll come back onto our backs, just like we started. This time with the left leg long. We'll draw the right knee into the chest and send the leg up towards the ceiling. Interlacing the fingers behind the back of the leg, wherever is accessible. And see if you can reach them up as high as they'll go. Take a full inhale, and as you exhale, allow the head and the shoulders to lift towards the knee as you draw it close towards you. Keep reaching the left heel away from you on the ground. Taking one more to inhale. And exhale, lowering everything down to the ground. Release the leg. Coming into the second side, left knee in towards the chest. Send the foot up towards the ceiling. And then interlacing the fingers behind the leg wherever you can. Take a full inhale. And exhale, head and the shoulders lift towards the knee. Reaching that right heel away. One more to inhale. And exhale, everything lowers down to the ground. Give the legs a bit of a shake. You can slowly draw them into the chest. Bringing yourself all the way up to seated. Comfortable seated position. And then inhaling to reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Draw the palms together. Exhale, hands into the center of the chest. And namaste. Thank you again for joining me for this third class. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you back here soon.